Good afternoon. Oh, thank you all for being here. This is really exciting to see all of you here and also to see these beautiful prints. And I hope that even though you have seen them one time, that you'll have an opportunity to go back and see them again. And I'd like to hear from you as the prints that you think that are the most, beautiful to you. I've already picked out 3, so maybe you we should have had a contest. But thank you certainly for being here. I know this is a busy time for all of us, and we're excited to have Mr. Chandler back, and we have developed a new friendship with him and with Tuskegee, and we really appreciate that. I hope that it will really increase the opportunities that we have to work more closely with you all, because as we talked a little bit earlier, we do need to have exhibits here in the library. We want to for our students. They really need this type of information and to see these beautiful renderings of what Mr. Polk did. It's an exciting time. So, Mr. Chandler, I don't want to take away from what Sarah is going to say in her introduction about you, but we do want to thank you. And on behalf of the library, certainly I thank all of you for being here. And Sarah, I want to thank you for all the good work that you've done on this project. And certainly we want to thank Jennifer Jones. Is Jennifer here? Yeah, she's back in the back. Jennifer, this is a great job that you did with these, and we do thank you so much. So in saying that, then thank you again for being here, and on behalf of the library, we appreciate all of you for your support. And now I'd like to introduce Sarah McCullough and thank her for her part in bringing this to us. Sarah?
Thank you, Dean Coleman. Ameche Library is pleased to be the administrative headquarters for the Southern Literary Trail. The Southern Literary Trail celebrates the iconic Southern writers of the 20th century and covers Georgia, Alabama, and Mississippi. One of the great highlights of our collaboration with the Southern Literary Trail has been the partnership that we have been able to form with Tuskegee University and its archivist Dana Chandler, as the dean mentioned. This has been, I think, a wonderful partnership. Mr. Chandler was here last year to do a great program on George Washington Carver. Mr. Chandler is a graduate of Auburn, as is our own John Mitchell, and has a varied background ranging from such fascinating areas as archaeology, civil engineering, and of course history. He has been at Tuskegee 14 years now, where he has really taken their archives to a new level and made great strides in digitizing that collection and cataloging that collection. He is very passionate about Tuskegee, as he should be. Those of you who have been know that the history there is just overwhelming. From, of course, the famous Tuskegee Airmen to Booker T. Washington to George Washington Carver and P.H. Polk. So we're very pleased to have Dana Chandler today to tell us about Mr. Polk and his work. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I like to call myself the cheerleader of Tuskegee. I'm going to move this back because my voice carries. I'm a teacher. Some of you are here. When's midterms? Friday for us. I've got both of my exams ready to give, so watch out. They're under lock and key right now. Tuskegee, she mentioned a few things about us. Let me say a few more things, okay? First 4-year nursing school in the state of Alabama. Tuskegee. The first woman to win a gold medal at the Olympics, Alice Coachman Davis, Tuskegee. The first African-American woman to coach an Olympic team, Nell Jackson. And you know, Tuskegee University. You know, what's it, that guy across the way here? What's his name? Nick Saban? Saban! I don't know how many national championships they claim to have won. Cleve Abbott won 14. In fact, if you add all of our national championships up together that Tuskegee has won over the years, we've won more than anybody else. The first extension agent for the United States of America, Thomas Monroe Campbell. And then there's P.H. Polk, C.M. Batty, and A.P. Badeau. 3 of the top photographers, African-American photographers, and our photographers. And I'm going to explain as I make my way through this program. Thank you for having me here. I appreciate it, Dean Coleman. Thank you so much for Mississippi State having us here. Mississippi State University Libraries, I have enjoyed it so much. Then I appreciate also William Gant and the Southern Literary Trail. They have been really good friends of ours over the years, and we've heard some amazing programs because of their efforts. The P.H. Polk exhibit team. Excellent job. Excellent job. And then Sarah McCullough. Sarah and I have become good friends over the years. We have talked about doing a lot of things, and this is the first thing that we've really brought to fruition. And I think you're going to be surprised what else will come forward. Because of our relationship with Mississippi State Libraries, we foresee a relationship that can do anything but grow and evolve. And we're going to do that. And I appreciate it so much. P.H. Polk, Prentice Herman Polk, who was born on November 25th, 1898 in Bessemer, died December 29th, 1984 in Tallahassee, Elmore County. He was the official photographer of the Tuskegee University from 1939 until his death. That explains a little bit about the 1957 photograph over there that we were talking about earlier. You know, he was the youngest of 4 children. He went, first of all, to Tuggle Institute in Birmingham as a boarding student, but that didn't work out. So he then decided in 1916 to enroll in Tuskegee University in the night classes. And we actually have his references in our catalogs where he went to the night classes. He wanted to study art, but he soon learned that Booker T. Washington had made no provisions for that kind of thing. So he decided to go into photography. And he studied under Cornelius Batty, C.M. Batty as he's known. That relationship really affected P.H. Polk, and we're going to get to see that in his work. It's amazing what he was able to do. He was also a leader in the school band. A lot of people don't know that. Polk left Tuskegee in 1920 to work in a shipyard in Mobile County. That didn't work out either. But he continued to study photography by taking correspondence courses, which encouraged him to study how light is used to build up form in painted masterpieces, in particular, Rembrandt. After completing the course, he moved to Chicago, Illinois, where he worked as a painter for the Pullman Palace Car Company during the day and for the telephone company in the evenings. And you're going to see a very important image that he made because of his love of the Pullmans and the Pullman Porters in particular. He found time to apprentice himself to a white photographer named Fred A. Jensen, who at the time was an up-and-coming artist in his own right. Polk married Margaret Blanche Thompson of Brunswick, Georgia in January of 1926 and moved later that year to Tuskegee, where he opened Polk's studio. Joined the faculty in 1927 when he assisted Leonard Hyman, who had succeeded Batty as head of the photography division. And Hyman was famous for taking photographs of schools and buildings and classroom scenes. 1938, he opened a studio in Atlanta, Georgia, where he won 3 awards at the Southeastern Photographers Convention held there that year. He returned to Tuskegee in 39 to accept the position of official campus photographer. During the Civil Rights Movement, wow, he photographed everything from the Selma to Montgomery March to all of the major civil rights workers that came to Tuskegee. We have 750 reel-to-reel tapes in our archives. We've digitized 150 of those. 750 talks given by civil rights workers. All the major civil rights workers and some others. It's amazing to hear those tapes. And I'll talk about one in particular in just a few minutes. A selection of his photographs was exhibited in New York City Museum of Natural History in 1974, and over the next few years, his work was also shown at the Washington Gallery of Photography in Washington, D.C., and the Studio Museum of Harlan in New York. Some of Polk's photographs traveled in a group exhibit that made stops in the Soviet Union and Nigeria, of which we have the traveling exhibit booklets. In 1981, he was awarded a fellowship from the National Endowment for the Arts, and an exhibit of his work was mounted at the Cochran Museum of Art in Washington, D.C. That's pretty prestigious. Polk gave a lecture on his work at the International Center of Photography in New York that same year. And the Birmingham Museum of Art prepared a solo exhibition in 1983. Polk died in December 84 and was buried at Tuskegee University Campus Cemetery. You know, people always ask me, who's buried in the cemetery? Is it just for the upper echelon of Tuskegee? No. A lot of people are buried in there that were significant and not so significant. And the president chooses who he wants to have buried there. And now she chooses. We have our first female president, and we're so excited about that. So how did we get the images? I got to tell this story because it's pretty amazing. So in May of 2016, I was contacted by P.H. Polk's son, Donald. Donald is very ill at this moment, and he can't anymore. There's a lot of things that he's very elderly, and he very sick. Donald contacted me. He says, I've heard a lot about you in the work at the archives. He says, I have photographs that my father took. Well, we do too. We have a lot of photographs that his father took. We have over 10,000 negatives that we have not digitized that belong to P.H. Polk. Some of them, Elizabeth North here, from here on campus, her mother actually has a few photographs in that P.H. Polk took. Donald said, well, I want to give them to Tuskegee. That was a shocker, because I didn't know how many images he had. And he said, but I'm not mailing them. You have to come get them, and only you. So I drove all the way down to Orlando, Florida. And I didn't know how many photographs. I said, well, how many boxes you got? Oh, just a few. So I got in there, and I went into his house, and he was sitting in his kitchenette. And we sat down there, and there were like 3 or 4 boxes around us. And I brought all the stuff because I promised him I would process the collection as I was receiving them. And the reason why is he was able to tell me who was in the photographs. You know, what good is a photograph if you don't know the person's name? You know, that's the way I feel about it. So we went to work. I started at 8 o'clock one morning. We went to lunch together, worked till 8 o'clock that night, went to supper together, and I was done. I said, I'll see you in the morning. I'll come and load up everything. He said, okay. So I went back the next morning and checked out of the hotel. I said, I'm here to pick up the photographs. He said, oh, no, you're not. We haven't been to the shed yet. Shed? He said, yeah, the shed. He says, we've got to go there and see what's there. Oh, my goodness. So everything that I had was pretty mundane. Everything that I had picked up so far was mundane, okay? There were some things in there that were pretty interesting, but nothing really powerful, nothing that really caught your eye. None of his artistic pieces were in there. We went to the shed, which was actually an environmentally controlled warehouse. And I spent the rest of the day, and I figured it out. He was trying me. He wanted to make sure that I was legitimate before he gave up the gold. You see, what Donald Polk did, he gave us the copyright to every one of the images. And as an archivist, whoa, that's amazing. I mean, amazing. What we had were a series of photographs, original photographs, and a lot of negatives of things that we were not ready to receive. I will say this, there are some that are not going to show up in my slide presentation this evening. A couple of photographs that were taken by Batty of Booker T. Washington with the bolo, with the vest, the bow tie, out weeding a corn patch. Yep, how that blew me away, never seen before. And that's just one of the images. We had 2 images of Carver, several images that were taken of the campus we were just not ready for. In fact, we always knew that we had a large photograph of the first 2 buildings on campus that was taken about 1930. After the buildings had been there for a long while, they were in a great stage of deterioration, and they were about to be torn down. We always suspected that was the first 2 buildings until we got the photograph from P.H. Polk, which had written on the back, first 2 buildings at Tuskegee University. So it's always nice you get those kind of things too. So let's see some of his work. This is the boss. Shows an authoritative female farm worker whom he discovered setting up a produce stand near the campus. She stands proudly in her everyday clothes, defying the viewer to dismiss her headscarf and apron as comical or picturesque. That's the boss. That's an amazing photograph, isn't it? I love that. The play of the shadow and the light, that's classic P.H. Polk. Over the course of his career, he made portraits of nearly all of the faculty and staff members at Tuskegee, the administrators and their families, as well as innumerable visitors to the campus, both humble and esteemed. This is a photograph of the Booker T. Washington's house called the Oaks, with the porch in a little bit different design than we expected. So, some images. Not expecting. Gerald Ford on campus. In fact, this is what's so weird. Every president of the United States from Teddy Roosevelt onward, except for Barack Obama, have visited Tuskegee, and Donald Trump. But his wife did visit her here and did a talk at Tuskegee, but President Obama never came in an official visit. I love this. This is great columns. The building itself is the president's home today. It's an antebellum home. Gorgeous on the inside. Take my word for it. But notice the dance that's going on. It looks like chaos on the yard, but there were 6 photographs that came out of this, and they're doing dancing. It's an amazing photograph. This photograph was an early photograph of Polk when he first came to Tuskegee, climbed high up on a building and took this image of the university. This one, this one's entitled, you ready? The Visitors. I love that image. That's just amazing. All those turkeys there. It's just amazing. Robert R. Taylor, the first African American to graduate from MIT with an architect's degree, the first certified African American architect in the United States of America. That's Robert R. Taylor. An amazing photograph. One that we reproduce often. This gentleman right here was a local businessman. I forgot his name offhand, but let me say this. I think this is classic Polk portraits. Classic. I mean, it seems like every grouping there's a photograph like this. He went out of his way to capture photographs of laborers and field hands for his Old Characters series. Henry Moore, Interesting photograph. I want y'all to notice it. P.H. Polk spent 2 days with this man in his home. 2 days and 2 nights. And he said he never took off the jacket except to go to bed. And wore his suit jacket and suit pants every day. This is a classic photograph for me right here. This is a wagon with a bunch of corn in those baskets that had just been harvested at the university's fields. A wonderful image. There's no buildings in the back. That is the Booker T. Washington Monument. We call it the Lifting the Veil Monument, which we cleaned for the first time since 1924. This last year, the archives was responsible for cleaning it. You talk about scary. I hired a company that had cleaned some for the National Park Service, but I was informed by the president, you screw it up, it's your job. So I was out there every day while they were cleaning this thing. It was amazing. And the result was amazing. This is also a fun photograph. This is a bunch of youngsters playing volleyball. That right there is the Chandler's Children's House, and there's fields all around it for children to play in. And they're playing volleyball and in dresses. Oh, that's really interesting. This is called Wheel Upon Wheel. I just, there's not a lot I can say about this image. I think it's just powerful without saying much of anything at all. This is Thomas Monroe Campbell, as I said, the first extension agent, and he is visiting with a man out in his farm, harvesting sugarcane for Tuskegee University. This photograph on the right is of the Jessup wagon. For years, all we've had was a newspaper article with that photograph on it. We did not know where the image was. We didn't know who took it, knew nothing about it until I went to the shed and picked it up. And oh my goodness. You know, I had a box. I brought everything back in my pickup truck and everything was piled up in the back seat except one box that rode underneath my arm just about the whole trip. In that was this photograph because it's so unique. It shows the Jessup agricultural wagon. And it's not pixelated like so many of them were. I love this image also. This image right here. Don't you wish we could get that kind of service today? Just look at this service right here. But the sign in the back is what catches you. The best way for tomorrow's world is to do your work today, the best you can. And I think that's amazing. That kind of epitomizes Tuskegee University. This was taken at the mechanic shop. His work, he posed wealthy ladies in furs and jewels for glamorous portraits in his studio. Young child, of course the one that you've got in here. His work included many from the civil rights movement, especially those that spoke at Tuskegee or at major marches. Malcolm X. I'm going to show you two photographs that have never been, well, one photograph now that's never been seen before. Okay? Mississippi State, you guys get to see it first before we publish it. Is that all right, Dean Coleman? After the Selma to Montgomery March, King spoke at the Capitol. There have not been that many photographs of Coretta and King in any form of intimacy. Here she's giving him a kiss. To me, that was amazing. I cannot begin to tell you what this image means to us at Tuskegee University. And then Dean Coleman has expressed her love of the photographs. And three, she's got three. You didn't pick this one, did you? This is absolutely one of my favorite photographs, and I'll explain why. Because of the symbolism. This was taken in 1957. We have the speech he made when this photograph was taken. And it's still as appropriate today as it was back then. That speech is available on our website. Make sure you go and listen to it. There are 4 speeches of that 150 talks that I think are just amazing. And one of them is Merle Evers, Medgar Evers' widow. And it is absolutely breathtaking. Another one of the speeches it's given is of Jackie Robinson. And it talks about him breaking into baseball. But it's the fun one for those of us that are older in the audience that might remember something about this was the speech that Muhammad Ali gave when he was interviewed at Tuskegee. And he's asked about his fight with Sonny Liston and the invisible punch. Here's what Muhammad Ali said. He said, "It wasn't invisible. Liston felt it all the way to the ground." When you have images that tie in to the photographs, it makes it that richer. And yeah, the shadow is just about as big as the man. It still covers us today. That's an amazing photograph, just amazing. Of the 3,800 we acquired from his son Donald Polk, some of the most surprising were his photos of George Washington Carver that we have never seen. You have one of them in the back. I thought I'd seen every one. No. In fact, I have got a photograph you need to see of Carver. It is amazing. You really need to see that one. Of course, here he is with Henry Ford. Y'all know about his relationship with Henry Ford. Henry Ford replicated his laboratory in Michigan, complete reproducing his laboratory. But their relationship was so good that Henry Ford asked Carver to come to Georgia to stain his study with his own stain. And by the way, that stain is so good that it still is as fresh today as it was put on back then. Very interesting formula for his stain. I'll also break this news to you. The BBC called me and they said, "We would like to use some of your videotapes." I haven't digitized any of our videotapes. Pick out 8 to 10 that you want digitized and send them to this company in America, and we will have them digitized for you. I chose, I think, very well. 2 of them are videos of Carver that have never been seen. So wonderful. Photos of his family were singularly important. Okay, this is Donald Polk as a young man. This is Blanche, his wife. I'm going to talk about the specifics regarding the technique that he uses here. This is Donald Polk and his brother taken out in front of their house. These are his sisters who were sisters. And one of them is alive today, but the other one passed a few years ago. And that's Donald Polk and his brother right there with one of his sisters. He was a crime scene photographer. And so, Dana, why'd you pick such a gross photo? This guy lived. He lived. This is a knife that's stuck in his brain, right in the middle, right between both sides, and he lived. And from what I understand, lived a rich, full life from the time he was stabbed onward. So, an amazing photograph right there of I can't think of his name. Huh? He's handling the Tuskegee University Orchestra. And then these photographs that were taken of different dancers in a studio. You have 2 of them already in the back. And this one. I'm not going to kid you. I thought about this a long time. I talked to, should I show him this one? Well, it's his artistic side, okay? And I think that it's really, I noticed I left the little spots on the photograph and didn't remove them. I wanted to because I think it's pretty amazing. But I saved the best for last. When we pick this one up, this is the negative. This is the negative. We had it all twisted around trying to figure out what in the world it was. We could never figure it out. This is called Rembrandt lighting, or it's indirect lighting, okay? No way in the world we could. I can see it clearly, you can see it clearly because you can see the positive. This is a Pullman Porter. This is a Pullman Porter. So why the preoccupation with Pullman Porters besides him working at that plant? Because Pullman Porters were very important during the Civil Rights Movement. You see, what they would do is, at great jeopardy, they would bring down from the north newspapers, such as the Chicago Defender and others, and they would bring them down to the south for people to read. And let me tell you something, if they were ever caught, it was serious. It was very serious. And so, to take a photograph of this Pullman Porter was amazing. This is not the only one. We have one of Carver also. Unless you see the original, see the positive, you would never know it was Carver. You'd never know it. This epitomizes his artistic abilities. But he was through the early 80s at Tuskegee. And so I have not shown you something. What is that? Color photographs. He was lousy. He really was. Color photographs and him, they didn't work. They just did not work. And so I'm not showing you any of his photographs that were made in color. Because I think it would be a disservice to P.H. Polk and to his family and to his memory. Because he could never get the lighting the way he wanted it. Lighting was always key to P.H. Polk and everything he did. And so, yeah, that's important. And then you have this woman, actually have a photograph of her, but not her sister. He loved his family. He loved Tuskegee University. He loved his work. His passion is shown in every one of his images. Images that we are so thankful can finally be revealed to a modern audience. That's the key, getting these photographs out for the first time for a modern audience to see. And the ones that were chosen, very good. I don't know, how many did we send y'all? 20 something? 30? Yeah. And of those 30, the 14 were chosen. Not an easy chore, to say the least. But nonetheless, good job. And we appreciate it so much. Somebody asked me not too long ago, they said, do you believe in, when you digitize these images, in repairing them? No, I don't. I don't repair any images. Unless they're negatives that need repairing, okay? And we've taken some negatives that were in horrible shape and been able to develop positives from them using certain techniques that they're proprietary, and I'd have to kill you if I don't know. That actually, it's a multi-step process, and it takes a while to do it, and we've had to save some of our negatives. But I think it's like listening to albums. They're coming back in vogue, right? I love to listen to old albums, don't you? I mean, I like the pops and the crackles, and that's what I remember when I was growing up as a kid. I want to keep it just like they are. And so, no, I'm not going to touch up much. I may, if there's a tear and it's the only copy, I may repair the tear. I've done that, okay? But I try to keep the photographs as they were and are. Any questions? Yes, go ahead.
Thank you so much for the talk and for the images. I was wondering what the plan is for the rest of these negatives that you got and the sort of digitization plan going.
It's done.
It's done.
All 3,800 images. Well, that's the ones that we got from Donald Polk. Now the others, we're just going to have to catch as catch can.
Along the way.
Yeah. But the 3,800 images, the agreement with Donald and his family was that I would return to them an independent drive with all the digitized photos on them so they could replicate them as they wanted, and whichever ones they wanted. And so all of them are digitized, and all of them. One of the things that we do at Tuskegee, a lot of places don't, is that you don't get to see the original image. You get to see a copy. When we take a photograph and we scan that photograph, the original's put back in a different file folder than the copy. So when you come to the archives to look at photographs, you look at either the digitized version or the copies that we have. And it's all about protection and saving what we have for the future. I don't know what the future is going to bring. I'm concerned about it as an archivist. I'm concerned about digitization. You know, things change so quickly. I mean, I started out with, I had a Timex computer that you hooked up to your TV, and you could only do 50 lines of code, and that was it. So I remember the 8088s, the 8188s, and all that. Believe me, I had the first Mac in the area, Apple, first Apple. So I know there are problems inherent with digitization. So we're going to have to maintain the collection. We have to. And having over 250,000 images in our archives, we've digitized right at 35 to 40,000 images. So we've got a long way to go. And somebody said 6 lifetimes worth of work. Yeah, pretty much. I'm at, I'm getting close to my end. And so I suspect I'll be here another 8, 9 years. I'm going to try to get as much done as I can during that time. And I count on using students from other locations to come up and help us digitize. So University of Central Florida is sending some students up as part of their internship, and we will teach them to digitize and do that. So it's all about saving our history. Yes?
Since you own the copyright to these photographs, what is your policy for patrons who come in who want to make a copy stand? I mean, what is your policy?
Well, it depends on what they want it for, okay? We have one of our authors right back there in the back who's actually been to our archives many times. And what we do with our images, if you want an image of P.H. Polk's, okay, we charge you $15 to $25 and we'll print you a copy off, okay? It's just a copy. You don't own the copyright. You just own a copy of the photograph. If you're doing it academically and you're publishing, it's another situation, okay? It depends on what you're publishing. If it's an academic work, then it's a few dollars. If it's for something for the public, like we've had Time, ESPN, the BBC, and others use images from us, of course we charge them more. And so it's a sliding scale based on what the usage is. Now, we can also send digital copies, but you pay for the digital copy as well. It depends, like I said, on what you're using it for. So no matter what, if you ask for a copy, you're going to be charged the same amount whether we print it off or not.
I have another question too about the video, the recordings. Are you trying to get grants to digitize those, or what?
If you know anything about grants right now, it's hard to get them.
Yeah, I know.
And we've gotten, I've been very fortunate over the years to get several grants, but that people don't like to come back to you too often. And so I'm having to, again, be creative in the way that I get funding to help the archives. And that means we've got a collection coming in 3 weeks, and we're having a private donor to supply funds for us to digitize it.
Is that on reel-to-reel or what?
Our speeches that we have, that 750 are on reel-to-reel. We've got 750 reel-to-reel tapes of civil rights era speeches. We've got close to 3,000 cassettes. We've got 5,000 betas, 5,000 VHS. We've got 1,000 micro cassettes, and all of those, we don't know a lot of them, what they are. We just don't have a clue. So our objective is to try to digitize as much as we can, because we also we're realistic. We know that these things are going to continue to deteriorate. We do freeze a lot of our stuff. A lot of P.H. Polk's negatives are in our deep freeze, and they'll not come out once they go in the deep. Some of them are. Yes, ma'am.
It's often said that the very finest portraits are a collaboration between the sitter and the photographer. I sense that in many of Polk's pictures, and even when you suspect that he didn't know the people very well, he knew the kind of person that they were. And I wonder if you'd elaborate on that a little.
I think that's right. And by the way, y'all, she is the specialist on this subject of history of photographers and photography in the South. P.H. Polk took a lot of pride in his photography, and he chose his subjects very well. Now, he supplemented his artwork with doing portraits, and that's what we have the most of. 10,000 plus negatives of portraits that we just haven't.
They're wonderful.
They're wonderful, but I just have not had time to digitize them, because I've got other things that I have to digitize first. And they're the older photographs of the campus and things like that, which are the responsibility of the archives for the history of the university. But he did. He took a lot of time with his subjects. Like I said, with Henry Moore, he spent 2 days and 2 nights with Henry Moore before he did the photographs of Henry Moore in a variety of settings. So he knew his subject matter very well. Any other questions? I'm looking forward to this exhibit traveling to more than one place. Sarah and I were talking about it beforehand, it traveling to a variety of locations. Looks like we may see it in Tuscaloosa soon, and we're hopeful about that, and other places. I think that if we pushed hard, we don't have to push very hard. Jewel Collins Smith would probably have it too, in Auburn, and a variety of other places. We're talking about going to Jackson and being shown there. So we are all about, and Dean Coleman has made it clear that what she wants to do, somebody had asked about paying for it. As long as they can pay for the shipping, and it getting the right place, there's no cost. And because it's educational. And we want the public to know about these, and I appreciate that, because that's our attitude too. We want people to see these. We want them to be made more aware of P.H. Polk, his artwork, because he is a preeminent photographer and the preeminent African-American photographer, but beyond that, a preeminent photographer. Anything else? Any other comments, questions? Again, I would like to say thank you.
Thank you so much, Dana, for sharing your enthusiasm and your wealth of knowledge and introducing us to this extraordinary collection. I think it exceeded everyone's expectations, I believe. What beautiful work, and certainly worthy of preservation. So thank you for the work that you are doing. And thank you, of course, to Dean Coleman, who is very supportive of these initiatives. And it's certainly important that that we have these cultural heritage programs on behalf of our students and the university and the community as a whole. So thank you for that. And thank you, of course, to all of you for coming, and please join us. Look at the exhibit if you have not yet had the opportunity. Join us for some refreshments. The exhibit will also be on display in the Old Main Academic Center here on the MSU campus from March 4th until March 29th. So please invite your friends or come back for another look if you can. Thank you.